Hey there, we're Shannon and Jerry Arner, your hosts of the Arner Adventures podcast.
We're a minimalist couple driven by intentional living and adventure.
Burned out from the 24/7 grind of running our business, we traded the hustle and the bustle for something more meaningful.
We parted ways with most of our belongings and moved to the coast.
Listen along as we chat about life's challenges, share inspiring stories of those who have taken big leaps to live a life outside of the norm,
and help you live with more intention and less physical and mental clutter.
Each episode is a step toward doing and being just a little bit better for ourselves and the world around us.
Life's an adventure after all. Join us for the ride.
It's the Arner Adventures podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Shannon, and we are back for episode 173 of the Arner Adventures podcast. This is a solo episode this week. Not just solo me and Jer, but solo me. Jerry is on an adventure of his own, and the show doesn't stop around here, folks. I got to keep this train going. He's on the train, which is why I thought of that. He took a train ride, so we're really excited to hear what he thinks about his first solo train ride. But I digress. This episode is all about going with your gut, trusting your intuition, and I thought it was perfect topic because it's something that I do a lot. And when I don't go with my gut, I always regret it. And Jerry will say, he's the first to say, your gut is usually right. We really should have listened to your gut. So I thought that I would do an episode about trusting your intuition, what I've learned throughout the past few years about how to really hone in on that. And hopefully this is a helpful episode for you. As all of our episodes, if it's something that we are going through or we have maneuvered and we think might be helpful, that's where these episodes come from. We're not into toxic relationships, and that includes our candles.
That's why we're all about Southern Oak Artisan, hand-poured soy candles that smell amazing without messing with your air quality.
They're clean burning, pet safe, and totally free of the sketchy stuff you're going to find in other candles.
Our spring-summer lineup? Loving Orange Grove. It's fresh, bright, and feels like vacation.
We're also obsessed with the lime but no salt, fresh, zesty, and hey, no hangover required.
And let's not forget Loops, which smells exactly like a childhood cereal we legally can't name, but
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
So here's what you do. Head to southernoakartisan.com, fill your cart, use code ADVENTURE at checkout to save 10% off.
Treat your home, treat your lungs, treat your vibe. You and your pets deserve better candles.
Again, that's southernoakartisan.com, code ADVENTURE. Go light something that you can actually feel good about. What does it mean to trust your intuition? So you probably have said it. You've probably heard it. It's trusting your instincts. It's like this inner knowing. It's sort of this part of you that speaks to your brain from somewhere else. It's like, where did that come from? I just have this weird feeling I shouldn't do that. Or I have this feeling I should go ahead and do it. I remember years ago, this was years ago, when Oprah had her own show. All things go back to Oprah. When Oprah had her show Monday through Friday, it was afternoons at 4:00. So when I got home from school or when I was in college and I would get home from class that day, I would always tune into Oprah. And I remember this episode where she was talking about, trusting your gut, going with your intuition. And she had all these people on there who had usually been through some kind of victimization or crime or something, or had avoided it. And the reason they avoided it, and then, there was proof that there was really someone after them or whatever. Anyway, my whole point is she had this whole show about these women who had really trusted their gut and didn't go down a certain road or didn't go down a hallway or whatever it was, or I shouldn't make that decision. My gut tells me I shouldn't make that decision. Now, it's not scientific, right? This is Oprah having a show about people, like a commonality of people talking about going with their gut or when they didn't go with their gut and they regretted it. So it's not scientific, but there's definitely something about that feeling that you can't deny. And whether you made a different decision or made a different choice, who knows? Life is all about choices, right? But for the sake of this show, we're going to talk about that feeling. Now, if you remember, it was in the first year of our podcast. We had this, I'll link it in the show notes. We had this conversation with Christy Inge Christy is a human design expert. I actually went to high school with her too. And so it was really convenient to have her on the show. And she talked about that same thing, about how we all as humans have this sort of innate ability to know what direction we should go towards. Sometimes we need some nudging, but intuition, going with your gut, it's there, and it can show up as a physical feeling. It can be like, for me, it's a sort of a twist in my stomach. It can be an unease or just something that I can't shake, like a feeling I can't shake, or a little voice that's just saying, hey, this isn't it. Like, you don't need to do this, or that person is sort of bad news. Let's kind of get them out of your realm. And when I've ignored that feeling, when I've pushed forward because, something looked better on paper or made sense to someone else, I've almost always paid the price. And mentally, emotionally, or even logistically, I have paid the price. And I remember, too, just thinking back to another time that Jerry would definitely back me up on. I won't get into details, but we were in an environment where we were going to be in that environment for a little bit. And we were around like another couple and some other people. And we went home and we were kind of just talking about what the event was and stuff. And I said, that guy, I just don't have a really good feeling about him. Like, I don't think I even want us to hang around with him. I know that's crazy. And, I think at the time, Jerry was like, yeah, you might be overreacting because of this, or this. Turns out I was right. That's all I'll say. And we always reflect back to that and say, remember when you had that weird feeling about so-and-so? Yeah, we should have listened to that, because it would have prevented a whole lot of heartache and trouble and just chaos if I had gone with my gut. So what does it mean to go with your gut? Going with your gut is not this reckless thing. It's not impulsive. It's not about, throwing logic out in the wind. It's really about listening to that inner compass before you hand the wheel to external expectations. So when something doesn't feel aligned, it doesn't mean it's bad. It just may mean that it's not right for you. That's the part I've learned along the way. And I really have to lean into that. Just because a situation works for somebody else and they really want you involved, whether it's a collaboration, whether it's an event someone wants to go to, whether it's a business someone wants to get involved in, it looks good from the outside. And if something just doesn't sit well, you just go with that. Or at least take heed that there's some bells going off that something's not right. Over the past, year or two, similar situations have happened to me too, where I'm like, I knew I shouldn't have done that. I knew from the jump that I should not have done that, should not have made that decision. And I did, and I regretted it. And it's just, I try not to lean heavily into it and beat myself up about it, but it just does make me realize how I am really aligned with my gut. If you hear some scratching, it's Rue. She likes to be in here when I'm recording. I really have to lean into it. So just because the situation works for somebody else, it doesn't mean it's right for you. Intuition is personal. So it's built from your own experiences, your values, whatever energy you have. And that's why no one else can really tell you what the right decision is, because you already know, or you really need to lean into what that feeling is to make your decision. And you just have to get quiet enough to hear it. That's what I've learned, is that whether you meditate or whether you sit and really have everything off, have no distractions, and lean into what the factors of that decision that you need to make, usually your intuition is telling you what you should do. Speaking of that, meditation, listening to yourself, all of that, decision making we've had another episode about decision fatigue. I hate making a decision. I can't stand it, but I also am a control freak and I want to make the decision. So I have a lot of anxiety. And so sometimes and I've talked to my therapist about this, it's like, how do I tell the difference between what is instinct and what is anxiety? So it's taken some work, because anxiety lives in the body, and we're talking about having those feelings, whether they're physical or, just that gut feeling and or that voice. But I've learned that trusting my gut usually means that I start to feel more steady. Even when it's telling me something that I don't want to hear. It's telling me, you know what, this sounds really good, and this might be a great time. It might be something that seems great when you first get into it, or this person may seem really great, but my gut is telling me no. Or, I don't know. This kind of just seems a little scary, but my gut is telling me, yes, I should do it. And so I sometimes have to convince myself, all right, is this anxiety of not moving forward, or is this my gut telling me? And so I've really had to work through that for, I don't know, probably 2 to 3 years of saying, oh, what is worrying? And the worrying and anxiety, that doesn't necessarily mean no. And when I look back and when I feel relief of not doing something, or I feel relief of backing out of something, my gut knew. And it happened again recently where I had made that decision a year or two ago, or maybe a year and a half ago, and knew I shouldn't have done it. I just knew it was not the right decision, but it would have been fun, and it seemed really, really great at the time. And I was helping someone else make their dreams happen. And I thought, we'll be on this ride together. It'll be fun. And my gut told me the whole time, you shouldn't do this. Like, with everything you have going on, not just schedule stuff, but just emotionally with what you have going on, it's not, you shouldn't do it. And I did it. And looking back now, I really wish I would have said no. And my gut knew it the whole time. And if I can't stop thinking about, a decision, or it is really leaning into me, it's not really about me being indecisive. It's really, I need to figure out if it's anxiety or if it's my intuition just asking to be heard. So for you, if you are someone who gets a lot of anxiety, worries a lot like me, it might be worth, working through it with a therapist or someone you love. And really when it comes up, well, why do you feel this way? I don't know. I just have this feeling. Okay, what is that? What is that feeling? And really, it really takes some work, but it's worth doing. So when it comes to, going with your gut or going with your instincts, I truly believe that you have to make space to hear it. So when you trust your intuition, it starts, like I said, by slowing down enough to actually listen. When I'm rushing around and things are chaotic, it still may pop up, but I push it out really quickly. If I'm too plugged in, if I'm too focused on, checking the next thing off the list, I just override it. And so these days, I try to build in space for those gut check moments. So I have talked just on numerous podcasts about how my walking in the morning is so important to me. It's meditative. It's something I have to do every single morning to start my day. I either sit by the water and kind of be with myself and meditate and really, have the thoughts of what are the things I need to work through, or when I get home and things calm down before I start my work day, I sit down and I do the same thing. No distractions, no coffee yet, nothing, no TV, no podcast, whatever. And I just really just be in that space so that is when I can start having those feelings like, is there something bothering me, or is there something that I'm really excited about and I really need to listen to my gut or my instincts on what I need to do? Again, I have a lot of anxiety. So if I'm sitting there in that space, that I'm making space to hear my gut, and I'm going, I know that there's something I'm supposed to be worried about right now. I know that there's something I have to address. I know that's anxiety because that's just the way that I'm wired. So I think if you really hone in on your feelings, whether it's a walk, whether it's journaling, whether it's just sitting in the car before going into a meeting, and you just ask yourself, what is my body feeling? What kind of what decisions do I have to make? And does this feel right? And you may find that the answer surprises you, because it often surprises me. So how to start trusting your intuition? If you're not used to tuning in, trusting your gut can really feel impossible at first. It's easy to doubt yourself, confuse the instinct with anxiety in a noisy world. But here are some actionable items that you can do. So number one, start with small decisions. Don't wait until you're facing a huge life choice. Try it with everyday things. What you're going to eat for lunch, how you're going to spend your afternoon, who are you going to text back, who are you going to, leave on red. Notice what your responses are before overthinking kicks in. And you go, oh, I don't feel like I should really get involved in that right now. Okay, you probably shouldn't, but why are you still thinking about it? Are you overthinking or what? So just start with those small decisions. Number two, check in with your body. So where do you feel yes or no? For me, a clear yes is excitement. There's no dread even from the beginning. No stress really. If it's stress, I'm probably really overthinking, but for me it's a positive thing. If it's a no, it feels like tension. It feels like my chest is tightening, my stomach hurts. I even start feeling resentment or negative feelings towards a situation, towards a person. You're going to start recognizing your own signals the more that you pay attention. So number three, practice pausing. So even if it's just for 5 seconds before reacting, gives your intuition a chance to speak. You're giving it space, like we said earlier. If something feels rushed, just take a beat. You're in control of your time. You're in control of when you get back to someone. You're in control of those answers. So you'll almost always get a more precise answer if you just make space for it. So for someone like me who can be really impulsive, I do try to give my mind time to think through things, even if it's just taking a beat and giving it, I was going to say a few seconds, giving it a few minutes, maybe even giving it a day. So number four, journaling helps. So we've talked about journaling. We had our journaling prompt series over the course of a few weeks ago. So just try writing, like, what do I already know about this? And you'd be surprised at how much comes out when you just let it flow. You don't need to analyze it. Just get the noise out, brain dump it so that the clarity can come through. Jerry calls this free writing. And it's just, there's no rhyme or reason to your writing. Just write. Just think about what it is that if it's a decision or whatever it is, and just write. So number 5 is notice patterns. So if you look back on past decisions, like I was talking about, for me, when did you listen to your gut? And did it work out? When did you ignore it and wish that you hadn't and you regretted it? It's not failure, it's just data. And data is very valuable in all situations. So it'll help you trust your gut next time. If you're making a decision, you can go, well, last time I made a decision like this, did I go with my gut? Or even if it's not a decision that you've made, just be thinking about how you felt when you did trust your instincts, or when you went with your gut in the past, or when you didn't. And you can begin learning what happened the last time that you did trust your intuition and when you didn't. And you start having data. Again, we're not talking about science here, but data is kind of science, right? So data is a good thing to have. So why does all of this matter? Why am I doing a whole episode about trusting your gut, trusting your instincts? Well, a lot of it is life circumstances. A big situation that I went through recently where I was like, I cannot believe I didn't trust my gut. And nothing terrible happened, but I'm just saying, like, it was something I was like, I very much recall a year and a half, 2 years ago, sitting alone, contemplating what to do about this situation, and everything in me saying, no, do not do this. Do not do it. And here I am. And I've said over and over, I need to stop beating myself up about it. But I keep saying to myself, to Jerry, why didn't I go with my gut? Why didn't I go with my gut? And so I've been thinking about this a lot, and I've been talking about it in therapy and really leaning into my intuition. So why this matters, living intentionally means living from a place of truth. And truth doesn't always come from logic, or it doesn't always come from research or polling everybody that you know. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? Well, I don't know. What do you think about this? You don't need to do that. Sometimes it's just quiet. Sometimes it's inconvenient. sometimes you don't like the answer that you think that you're getting. You don't like it, but it's yours. And trusting your intuition is one of the best ways to stay in alignment with your goals and with yourself. And I think, at least for me, it gives me, I want to say confidence, but I also want to say sort of autonomy, like ownership in the way that my life goes. Because there's so many things that are out of our control and so many things that are chaotic and are, happen day to day that you can't make decisions about. It really has nothing to do with you. But when you do trust your intuition and your gut, it's a way that we have, I don't know, I guess a little bit more control for ourselves and for the events that happen. Being intuitive is something that we all have in one form or another. It doesn't make you different. It just makes you human. I think over time, it's something like, like any muscle, your intuition gets stronger. My mom forever has been very intuitive and empathetic. And I just never was until, recent years. And even being empathetic or really feeling the emotions of a room or people around it. And I don't like it all the time, but it's just something that I think I've learned to develop, and it's gotten stronger like a muscle would. So when you start noticing the difference between instinct and overthinking, act on that instinct and begin building the trust with yourself. Because the more you listen, the louder it gets, I think. And so, what if your gut is wrong? Sometimes it's normal. Intuition isn't about being perfect. It's just about being aligned with yourself and starting to learn what you are, the relationship that you have with yourself. What is yourself trying to tell you? And sometimes you might make a decision that doesn't turn out the way that you hoped, but it doesn't mean that your instinct was wrong. Often it leads you to a lesson that you needed, or maybe not even one that you expected. So after years of ignoring my gut, it is not too late to reconnect with it. And I'm proud to say that I do recognize that my gut is usually right. My practice has to be to begin listening to it more. And even if it's quiet and gets louder, that's okay. And if you're listening to this and you're like, maybe I'm going to start thinking about it. I would encourage you to, at least when you make those decisions, whether it's what you're going to have for dinner tonight or whether you're going to get into a venture with someone, with your career, or whatever, I would say take some time and have those small steps, those quiet moments to check in with yourself, and maybe do that regularly so that you can help build the trust in yourself or rebuild the trust in you. So I hope that this little convo was helpful about trusting your intuition and going with your gut. If you have situations that you think are helpful, please let us know. DM us, email us, all the good stuff. And I would love to hear about it. We would love to hear about it. Until then, see you next week.
If this episode resonated with you, or if you know of someone who would benefit from what we talked about, please share it with a friend.
It's a great way of supporting the podcast, and we really appreciate it.
Another way of supporting the pod is by leaving us a 5-star review or rating on the platform you are listening to us on.
And go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That also supports us. You can always find us, the show notes, and sponsors who support the podcast at arneradventures.com.
And until next time, enjoy the journey you're on. We're wishing you lots of adventures.
Bye-bye.